Well, good morning, Happy Rock. We
Good
are
morning.
so excited that you are with us this morning.
Yeah.
We have had a great morning so far. It's
have.
been a great week, and we know that God is going to do some awesome things in your life, and we're excited about it. But before we get to that, we wanted to let you know that, if you didn't know already, today is National Ice Cream Day.
Ice cream is my favorite.
It's Pastor Ben's favorite day.
It almost doesn't even matter what's in it. It does matter what's in it. But ice cream is so good. Vanilla is probably my favorite because you can mix anything in it. It's a clean slate. It's amazing.
Can you believe that you had the best week ever? Our anniversary was last week, and
Right.
National Ice Cream Day, all in 1 week. The best week ever for you.
It's Christmas in July.
But we want to encourage you. Pastor Ben has his ice cream this morning. He has his ice cream with him.
Boom!
So we know ice cream for breakfast, that's kind of weird maybe, but on National Ice Cream Day, who cares?
Who cares? I don't
Go
care.
get some ice cream right now. Don't leave your house, but if you have some in your freezer, then go get it and you can enjoy ice cream with Pastor Ben. I'm not a huge fan of ice cream, but he's enjoying his ice cream.
it's
so
good.
so do that, okay?
This is one of those frozen Snickers things, ice cream. It's
So good.
All right.
So after worship, gotta go to the freezer, go get some ice cream. Usually you have your coffee, but hey, you can have ice cream and coffee at the same time. So
Bingo.
but now we're going to make the deal even sweeter. We're going to enter into some worship because we know that as we enter into worship and in God's presence, He refreshes us, He renews us. And a lot of times after a big long week on a Sunday morning, when we're waking up trying to get, our bearings again for another week, we need God's refreshing spirit. And so join us in worship, stand with us, and let's go ahead and let's do it.
I stand before you now. The greatness of your renown. I have heard of the majesty and wonder of you, and King of heaven, in humility I bow. As your love in wave after wave crashes over me, crashes over me, for you are for I'm right beside you. Oh, I'm running after you. I wanna be where you are. I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Whoa, whoa, heart. You want me heart and soul, and where you lead, I'll go. I wanna be where you are. From the moment I rise to the moment I sleep, my affection is for you. Even as I dream, I wanna know you. I'm after your heart. Oh yeah, I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Whoa, I'm chasing you with all my love, captivated. Just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running after your heart, your heart, your heart. Whoa, this love was always meant to be a wild, crazy adventure, discovering the thrill, the rush. The more of you I see, the more it leaves me wanting. You're everything. Oh, you're and I'm chasing you. I'm so in love, captivated. Just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running out to your heart, your heart, your heart. Whoa, I'm chasing you with all my love, captivated. I just can't get enough. I'll spend my days running out to your heart, your heart, your heart. Whoa, yeah, yeah, your
All right, I love worshiping God so much. It just helps with so many things. It helps you just get your mind right, get your heart set on God. And just to kind of reiterate something we talked about last week is Pastor Heather is walking through some things with her throat and her voice, and the doctors have her on a bit of vocal rest, at least not doing taxing vocal things. And singing is included in taxing vocal things. And so we've been picking some worship that we've previously recorded on previous weeks. So that's what we are going to be doing for the short foreseeable future. We've got an appointment coming up, potential procedures, and so we will definitely let you know how you can pray for Pastor Heather and how we're going to be moving forward with all of that as it comes. But today we're going to continue our series, Summer at Happy Rock.
Yeah.
What week are we in? We're in six.
Week six
already of Summer at Happy Rock. And it's really, I love Summer at Happy Rock series because we go through series of teaching every year, pretty much all year around. And so there are different topics that we feel like God puts on our heart that we just haven't been able to really work into one of the series. that we've done. And so what we do is with Summer at Happy Rock, we take all of those little individuals or sometimes just two-parters, and we stick them all together in our Summer at Happy Rock series. And so that's what we've been doing. It's been so good. It's been so needed and refreshing to be a part of. But today and next week, these are another kind of two-parter. It's going to work together. And I want to ask you this. Have you lost your passion in this time, or even in general? I know that I can't be the only one that loses his passion at times. Yeah. There are just different stages of life and different times where you feel like you lose your passion. And I'll just be honest with you, parts of pastoring are not as fun as others. If you can believe that, right? So it's just, think of your job. There are probably
the same thing with anybody's job.
There are probably parts of your job that you just love, and there are other parts that you're thinking, and if the part of your job that you love is taking a lunch break, then maybe you might want to think about the future and what job, and what occupation you're in. Maybe you need to be in something that's geared more towards your interests, but some parts aren't as fun as others. I got to be honest with you. We have to operate as a church. We have to operate as a business within the context of our relationship with the government and recognizing us as a church and things. So there are a lot of businessy things that I have to take care of. I don't really enjoy that part so much. And so there's that stuff. There's when something goes wrong with the building and I don't know how to fix it myself, and I've got to go out and find somebody and get it all done and work through the whole process. That's not my favorite thing to do either, but there are other parts that I really enjoy. But here's the thing with our passions. I can be so incredibly guilty of this, but what we generally tend to do is we zero in on the things that we don't really like, even if it's only just a couple, versus the whole great situation. We may focus in and zero in on just a few little things that are negative that we don't like, and it just ruins everything. It steals your passion, it steals your joy away. It gives us a negative attitude even towards the parts of our job or parts of our life that we do enjoy. And so that can be a problem. And I made sure to put this in here so I wouldn't forget. There are things that I've actually prayed for to have present in my life that because of a negative detail about them, I've complained about them. Right? So I prayed to have it. God, it'd be so awesome. And then one negative thing, and I'm going, God, why did you give me this? Why is this here? Why are these things like that? I mean, I can be so guilty of that. And because I am guilty of it, I know that many of you probably are as well. We've got to figure out how to get our passions back. And here's the thing. Eventually, God helps me to just wake up and realize what's going on when I've just lost my passion. I'm just kind of skating through, just head down, not really doing anything, not really being effective at anything. He helps me to wake up and get revitalized, get refocused, and to keep moving forward. So listen, if you've lost your passion, you can get it back.
Yeah.
You can get it back.
You can. And, there's another, I was reading a devotion this morning by Joyce Meyer, and she was just talking about the power of your thoughts and how important it is. You were talking about one negative thing happens, and then that's all we focus on. That's all our mind goes to. And she was talking about the power of really just when those negative thoughts come in is to replacing them with what God has said and the truth. And we've been talking about that over the summer, and how important it is. But another word for passion, though, is actually enthusiasm. And we're going to talk about that today. But first, before we talk about enthusiasm, there's actually two types of people in this world when it comes to having your passion and enthusiasm. Now, there's those who let their circumstances influence their enthusiasm. So think about that for a minute, that you allow your circumstances to influence your passion or your enthusiasm.
And circumstances can be
A
mixed bag. One circumstance I'm going to let myself find some joy in is I'm going to keep eating my ice cream if you guys don't mind.
Pastor Ben, he will not let ice cream go to waste.
Oh, no.
I mean, he will not.
No.
If it was probably okay in our house, which is kind of gross if you think about it, he would probably lick the carton if I would let him.
I might be guilty.
You might do that. But so
Hopefully I don't drop any of this. I'm guilty of dropping chocolate stuff off it, and I find it on my clothes later.
we digress.
Yeah.
So those who let circumstance influence their enthusiasm, but also those who use their enthusiasm to influence their circumstances.
Yeah.
So you're passionate about ice cream, and you're going to allow that to make this circumstance a lot better.
Yes, I am.
Which is already great, but it's going to even get better.
I'm in such a good mood now. This is wonderful.
So we have to be the second. We have to allow our enthusiasm to influence our circumstances, not the other way around. And it's actually possible to be both, but at different times. You can't be both at the same, but both at different times. And circumstances change daily. And obviously, in the time that we are in right now in our world, circumstances actually are changing by the hour.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. They're changing by the hour. And every day when you wake up, we don't know if there's going to be another mandate. We don't know if there's going to be something closing. We just don't know. God does, but we don't. And it kind of feels like sometimes you're just on this roller coaster of life. We just found out this last week kind of what it's going to look like for our kids going back to school. And actually, I'm so proud of our district. North Kansas City Schools have been doing a great job communicating, and they have a great plan put together for so many different ways that it could work, like 5 different plans, and it's just been great, that security, but at the same time, it's just changing every day. And I want to check out Paul. In 1 Corinthians, Paul wrote 1 Corinthians, and I want to check out his enthusiasm that he has here. Let's read this together. It's 1 Corinthians 15, starting in verse 57. It says, "But thank God." And he puts that exclamation point there. But thank God, okay? He gives us victory over sin and death through our Lord Jesus Christ. Yes, thank God for that. So my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and immovable. Always work enthusiastically for the Lord, for you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless. And that's something that Ben and I have to remind ourselves in the times where we're having to fix the building and we don't know what we're doing, or in the times where the government sends us something and we're like, I thought we already filed this, but maybe we didn't. Oh no, we got to figure out what we're doing so we don't get in trouble. Or
It's happened a time or two.
It's just a lot of things over our heads that we're trying to figure out. We have to remember, okay, stop. We're doing this for God. Like the church, the ministry, everything we're doing, it's for God. And so this isn't useless. We need to figure out how to do this. If we don't, we need to find out somebody who does. But to work enthusiastically, not to allow that circumstance to bring down our enthusiasm, but the other way around. Work enthusiastically for God. In your lifestyle, in your choices, the way you focus on your life, everything you're doing. Because we're here because God made us for a purpose. What we're doing every day is for God's purposes. If we allow ourselves to be for God's purposes anyway.
Yes.
When you're
Truth.
at your secular job or at school, whatever you're doing, if you allow yourself to work enthusiastically for God, then it will be for His purposes. And that's what God's calling us to do, okay? So enthusiastically, AKA basically in a way that shows intense and eager enjoyment and interest. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
You actually show some enjoyment,
Yes.
eager enjoyment, and interest in what you're doing. And maybe if that's something that you just can't do, maybe you're not in the right purpose. Maybe you're not the right job. Maybe it's something that you should seriously take time to pray about and ask God, okay, God, I don't feel like I can work enthusiastically here. What do you have for me? What else possibly do you have for me? What's the next step for me? And God will be more than willing to answer. But it's not what you do that makes it meaningful. It's who you do it for. That's something that we have to remember. It's not what you do that makes it meaningful, but it's who you do it for. And we do it for God.
Yeah, and I can attest that this is absolutely true. Our youngest daughter, Eve, she's in the the little dresses all the time and coloring of ponies and princesses kind of thing. That's just that's her life right now. And so she comes to me. Mermaids. Excuse me.
We're having a mermaid party.
Don't forget the mermaids.
Yes, seriously,
right?
It's very important right now.
Even though she never wants to watch Little Mermaid, so that's a little puzzling. But she comes to me on a almost daily basis asking me for certain things. Number one, usually always number one, piggyback ride. I want a piggyback ride, Dad.
Piggyback ride.
And it doesn't matter if I've given her 10, we'll run around the house and then I'll flop her over onto a bed or something and she'll go, oh, piggyback ride. And she wants one more, always one more. And I'll be honest with you, when I'm sweating and I'm huffing and puffing, I don't want to give her another one. But sometimes when I'm physically capable, I will. Sometimes she'll bring a coloring book and wants me to color a pony or a princess with her. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not like an art guy. Like I've never been good at drawing and all that stuff. I've never just been artsy that way. I can do some graphic design, but that's computer and that makes sense to me. But all the rest of it, I'm just not good at. And so I don't enjoy it. And yet, when she asks me, even during the workday, she'll come bust down into my office and be like, hey, Dad, color something with me. I try not to just turn her down on the spot. I try not to turn her down every time. There are times when I really got to focus and just say, okay, baby, let's plan for later. But I'm trying more and more often to just pause what I'm doing, take 5 minutes, and lay down on the floor with her and color a pink pony or a blue color pony. And it has nothing to do with the fact that that's what I want to do. It has everything to do with the fact that it's my daughter. That it's
You're doing it for her.
one of my girls, and because here's the reality: as a dad, God has entrusted me with 2 incredible young ladies, and it's my job to steward them. They're not mine that I own, and they're mine to ignore or mine to push too hard or whatever. They're mine to steward, to take care of, and propel them into the best future that I possibly can, and it comes from doing that stuff. See, when it comes to living your life and doing things, you got to do it for God. You already touched on that. Doing it for God with God in mind, as if you were doing it for God, because there's a good chance that God is working in the situation that you're in, that He's working in the people that are around you, that He wants you to affect a change in their life in some meaningful way. He wants you to impact them. And so if you're doing your job, whatever you're doing, as if it's for God, you're going to be doing it with so much more enthusiasm, with so much more passion there. It really takes things from being mundane, like kind of just every day, and it makes them super meaningful. And here's the thing, here's a question. Do you want to be depressed your whole life? I've got the exact way to make sure that happens, right? If you focus on what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you just focus on what you're doing and what's going on in life, focus on your environment, you will always be depressed because it seems like there's so much more negative and down that comes than up and good, right? For most of us.
Yeah.
So focus on what you're doing. But if you want to be filled with purpose and meaning, focus on who you're doing it for. You may be working for a job for a boss that you don't like, and you think that doing your job means you're doing it for your boss. You're not. You're not. You're doing that so that you can make a living for yourself, so you can make a living possibly for your family.
Yeah.
You're doing it so that you can be there to affect change, and the positive change, mind you, in the lives of the people that surround you, even positive change in your boss that maybe you don't like, for God. There's purpose and there's meaning when it comes to thinking in terms of who am I doing this for, not what am I doing.
That's good.
See, enthusiasm is not a product of the environment as much as a posture of our hearts. Enthusiasm is something that can come from, oh, this is so good, I got ice cream, so I'm all kinds of happy and in a good mood. Well, what happens when I don't have ice cream? Does that mean I just get to be down and mad and grumpy pants Ben all day and treat everybody bad? No, of course not. It cannot come from circumstances. It is something that comes from inside of us, a decision that we've made to look at life differently, right? Look at life differently. And when passion is a product of your environment, you can have it, sure, when I'm eating ice cream, but you can lose it just as fast, like when the ice cream runs out. Right, that's a sad day unless I've just eaten too much, right?
Yeah, there's times when Pastor Ben will actually be like, I think I got too much ice cream, and I'm like, what? But then 30 minutes later, it's gone. So
yeah, like when I was younger, there was no end to the ice cream that I could have. Now, okay, everybody, the older you get, the worse it gets, is what I'm hearing.
You gotta have self-control too.
You gotta have self-control. Yeah. But passion can be lost just as fast as it's gained when it's dependent on what's happening in your life, what's going on around you.
And we're all guilty of that.
Yeah.
You know, we're all have times where we allow our sort of, I mean, we've all probably, you know, I can't speak for you guys, but I know that countless people that I've talked to, we've all had in the last, you know, 4 or 5 months had a moment at least of being like, man,
Yes.
this whole COVID-19 pandemic, it just really stinks. Like it does, it stinks.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard to find the enthusiasm when you can't even do anything normal at all. I mean, nothing is the same at all. And I think the only thing that is, you know, being in your home. But I mean, even then, you know, still having to take precautions with, you know, who you let inside your house or, you know, whatever you're doing. But the point is especially during this time, we have got to allow our passion to come from who we're doing things for. And the point of, you know, just like the masks. Wearing masks, it's not fun. It's not at all. But even Pastor Ben and I talk about how we love our family. Like my mom has chronic asthma and things like that, and I don't want to put her more at risk, so I wear a mask because I'm protecting her. Like I don't want to get sick and then infect her. So it's not about just obeying the law and, you know what I mean, and the government controlling us or whatever. Like I don't even look at it like that because God's in charge anyway. But the point is the point is that I wear a mask because I love my mom. I love my kids. That's why I wear a mask, because it's not about the rule. It's not about, you know, I'm not going to have passion for it because somebody just told me to do it. I have passion for it because I love my mom and I'm doing it for her.
Yeah. And whenever it's based on your environment, you're heading for a crash, you're heading for a loss of passion. You can look back in your life, you can see that happening. We can also look to the Old Testament. The Old Testament does such a great job of keeping track of who did what and how it turned out.
Yeah.
And King David, or David rather, is the perfect picture. He's going to be the guy that we're focusing on for the rest of what we're talking about today and next week, of someone that had his focus right at some points and didn't have his focus right in other points in his life, and how good and bad it was. And see, when we lose sight of a good heart, we lose our passion.
Yeah.
We lose our passion.
Well, let's first, I mean, with young David, before he became king in the Old Testament, he was full of spiritual enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
It even shows in 1 Samuel 17. It says that then David said to the Philistine. Now this is before David was king. This is before he fought against Goliath, before all that stuff. Okay, so this is him going into the camp, taking food to his brothers. He finds out that Goliath, this Philistine, this 9-foot giant, is talking bad about God.
And most scholars think that he is somewhere between 14 and 16 years old.
Yeah, this teenager.
At this point.
Okay, so and Goliath is this man who has never lost battle. I mean,
9
like
foot tall.
they go through every single time they have a battle, the Philistines, you know, they win. So they're going against the armies of Israel. And so this is what happens. It says, then David said to the Philistine, to Goliath, you come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin. But I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel. So he is stating right there, you may have all this stuff against me, but I am coming against you by the man in charge, by the God who is in charge. And David understood that. And in God's word, it says that David was a man after God's own heart. Like he was close to God. They spent time together. And it says, whom you have taunted, this day the Lord will hand you over to me. He was stating right there because he had faith in God. He believed. And he had not fought against him. I mean, this is a huge giant. You guys got to think about this. So if he's 14, 16, he's probably what? 5 foot something, maybe 6 foot, maybe.
The records, if I remember right, the record is that his spear, Goliath's spear, was taller than David.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, like,
That's
that's just crazy. But he understands the power of God right here. He said, I will strike you down and cut off your head. That's pretty big words for a 14-year-old.
No kidding.
And I will give the corpse of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the sky and wild beasts of the earth, so that all the earth may know that there is a God of Israel. So this teenager staring down this 9-foot giant with a javelin that was bigger than David, the spear bigger than David.
Yeah.
And there was no record at this time in the Old Testament of David ever fighting a human, ever fighting a person. It was bears, lions, things like that. He had defeated these things because he was a shepherd, and so he was guarding against the sheep. And even though there was no record, doesn't mean that maybe sometimes somebody came to try to steal a sheep, right? But back then they were so far away from each other, you know, and travelers, they would know when people were coming, but you never know. But he had to defend the sheep by fighting off lions and bears and things like that. And at this point, though, he heard Goliath taunting God. And like I said, he had that spiritual passion that fueled him because he had a relationship with God. He was close to him. He was a shepherd out in the fields. Who do you think he was talking to?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, he talked to God all the time.
That's all he had.
And this was the posture of his heart. He said, I love God, and nobody's going to get away with disrespecting him when I'm around. I mean, this is what he was saying. He was not worried about his circumstances. He had full confidence that he was going to defeat this giant and the army, but not only that, he was going to cut off his head. And he's like you're going to be done for. So the older that David got, though, so he defeats Goliath. We know this. He becomes king later on, okay? He becomes king. He starts to what? And I really believe that a lot of it has to do with becoming an adult. Because as an adult, I feel like we have a lot of pressure, a lot of things weighing on us, a lot of responsibility. So we understand more of the outcomes of things. We understand that some things just happen. And when you're a child, when you're a teenager, you don't really think about the outcome. You don't think about the possibilities of what could happen in the way of like a bad thing, you know? But as adults, we see that. We see how life goes and that disappointment happens. And at this point, David got older and started focusing on his circumstances more often. And like I said, as adults, we tend to do that a lot because we start losing that faith. We don't have that childlike faith anymore. We start losing that. And Psalms, the book of Psalms is filled with, as David wrote all these Psalms, they're filled with depression and this passion that David had. It was kind of starting to leave a little bit, but then he centered himself on God again.
Get it back.
And he got back. And that's what we have to do, is sometimes when we stray away, sometimes when we fill our lives with fear and doubt and anxiety and disappointment, we have to look up and we have to remember who the God of the army is. I mean, the army that's fighting for us, the heavenly army that's fighting for us. Who is the God of the army? Who is in control? It is God. So we've got to start pushing all the other stuff apart and remember that we need to center back on God so we can get that passion back again and get focused on the right things.
Yeah, and maybe this describes you today. Maybe you feel like you don't have any passion. Maybe you feel like you're far from God. There's just nothing going on. You're focused more on your environment, which is bad usually.
Yeah.
Honest, if I'm being honest, our environments are never truly perfect or even great at best.
Yeah.
Usually there's always something negative going on. There's always a struggle. There's always some kind of stressor that's happening.
Well, we live in a fallen world, so
We
there's
do.
going to be.
We do. This world was not meant to be perfect
Yeah.
because God made heaven to be perfect for us in the future. This is not that.
Yeah.
And so we've got to figure out how can we continue living this life without being down all the time because our environment has something negative in it.
Well, because we don't want to come across in the way like he just said, you know, we don't want you to think that you have to be perfect. We're just talking about like, if you take 90% of your life and you're allowing your enthusiasm to be based off your circumstance, that's not the best life. Okay,
No.
you're gonna have moments where your circumstances dictate your enthusiasm. I get it. Like you lose your job, yay! You know, no, like that's not what we're saying. But we're talking about that most of the time when you're going through life, what person are you? Are you allowing the circumstance to dictate your enthusiasm, or are you allowing your enthusiasm to come against your circumstances and lift those up? We're just talking about as a whole. So please don't walk away today thinking that you have to be perfect. That's not what we're saying.
Yeah, and so if this describes you, we want to help.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to help. This week, we've been kind of introducing this whole thing and had some helpful statements, hopefully, that will just help you understand a little bit more about what's actually going on. Sometimes more under the surface than on top of the surface.
Yeah.
Next week, we're actually going to talk about where David's enthusiasm came from when he was young.
Yeah.
David young, David old, two different guys. But David had his enthusiasm when he was young continually.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at and dig into where did that enthusiasm come from. And so listen, if you are tired of being down, if you're tired of focusing on the environment rather than on who you're doing it for, if you feel like you're far from God, this stuff can change today.
You have no passion and you
Yeah.
feel like that fire just needs to be relit again. This is for you. This is completely for you.
Yeah, it can change today. Having God's stuff work in your favor, the majority of the time, for you to understand that it's working in your favor, it comes from understanding who God is, knowing Jesus, and it all starts with a relationship with Him.
And I think it also, like when you're making this decision, to remember that it's not about what you're doing. It's not about just the decision. It's about who you're doing it for. Like you're doing it for yourself so you can have a better relationship with Jesus. And you're doing it for Him because He died on the cross for you. He loves you so much. So it's not about just making the decision of saying, well, I guess I'll serve God. It's the right thing to do. No, it's like, think about why you're doing it. Yes, but then who are you doing it for? So you can have a better life so that you can live life to the fullest and have every blessing that God wants you to have and to be able to tell other people about what God has done in your life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And so if you're far from God today and you want to make a decision for Jesus, for God, now's the time.
Yeah.
This is the best time, the perfect time to do that right here with us. Because I'm going to give you a prayer to pray. So you can talk to God about these things.
Yeah.
And you can get, even if it's just taking the first step or the first step in a long time, towards getting your life on track for Jesus. Getting all of these things, like the foundation for everything we're talking about, getting it all in place, right? So if that's you, if you need to get close to God today, if you need to get closer or make a decision for Him in any way, now's the time. I'm going to give you a prayer. Let's pray together, shall we? Here we go. Jesus, I want to live for you. I believe you died on the cross for my sins. Be my Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Just to pray that prayer and start something fresh with God.
Yeah.
He wants to be involved in your life, and He wants to help you. He wants to help you. He doesn't want to leave you passionless. He wants to help you get connected to those passions because He has some pretty incredible things for you to do.
It's true. It's true.
It's absolutely true.
Well, and if there's another step. So that's the first step, but we definitely want you to know that if you prayed that prayer, yes, we are so proud of you. But even further than that, if you prayed that prayer, could you just put the praise emoji in the comments for us, or just the word praise, because we want to connect with you and kind of put you on the path to next steps, get you involved at Happy Rock, get you to knowing some people, maybe into a small group, things like that. We want to really get you connected because that's what's going to help you continue your relationship for Jesus. Because if you try to do life alone, it won't work. It won't work. God did not make us to be alone. God made us to be together, and we're stronger together. So make sure you do that, or message us. If you don't feel comfortable with putting it in the comments, just message us at Happy Rock Church, Kansas City, and we'll get in contact with you, and we want to set you up for success because your life was changed today, correct? Your life in some way. I mean, even through this message, my life has been changed, of realizing I need to do a better job of allowing my enthusiasm to dictate my circumstance, not the other way around. And so if you believe with all your heart that this is something that needs to be shared, which it is, would you like this video for us and share it? Liking is great, loving is great, even comments are awesome, but to Facebook, to really share our video, you have to share it because, like I said, that's like the holy grail on Facebook. Like if you share something, that means it's like you're wanting other people to see it, and Facebook, under their algorithm, understands that, and they're going to show it to even more people. And since you guys have been doing that the last couple of weeks, even more shares, we've had more people coming to know Christ. So you have partnered with us in doing that. So your life's changed. Share this video, let people see it. So there are people out there that need to get their passion back. And you can be a part of that. So like and share this video somewhere people can see it and their lives can be changed. But we want you to also know before we end today that we have been so incredibly proud of you for just the incredible opportunities that you've given our Northland. For North Kansas City, we've been giving the food kits and back snack program. We're partnering with them as well because school's starting again. So we're gonna be helping with the back snack program, which gives kids food over the weekend that don't have, food, nutritional food. So we're doing that. We're also partnering right now with the North Kansas City schools in the way of doing school supplies. You know how we always have our annual school supplies drive? Well, since we're not in person and we're not doing that, we wanted to still be a part of it. And they sent out a flyer about a week ago that just let us know a little bit how they're actually not taking donations this year. They're actually physical donations for the
items.
supplies, but they're actually taking donations that you can give through like check or online and and they'll buy school supplies and then disperse it. So we want you to be a part of that. Well, all that said, we're gonna be, and then Christmas store is coming up it's soon. It's almost August, so we're planning for that. So there's a lot of things going on that we're supporting right now, which is awesome. So instead of just COVID-19 relief that we're going to be giving to, we're going to change that back to Kingdom Builders. So it's the same thing. We're just not just giving to COVID right now anymore. We're giving to other things. So we're going to go back to Kingdom Builders. So whatever you're giving, we want you to know that the money will go to whatever need is dominant, basically.
Yeah, the most prevalent one.
Yeah.
And let's just, to be clear here, Kingdom Builders is essentially our missions giving, if you haven't heard that before. And we changed everything over to COVID-19 because it was the most pressing thing. And we wanted people to understand that this is what it would be going towards.
Exactly.
So it was always part of Kingdom Builders anyway.
Yeah.
But now that we're going to be still focusing on multiple things now with the school stuff, but also with food for COVID-19 families that need help because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
So we're changing the name on our giving on the website back to Kingdom Builders. So when you give to Kingdom Builders, you are giving towards COVID-19 relief. You're giving towards the school stuff.
Supplies.
Okay.
You're giving towards the Christmas store coming up because we're going to be
Store,
buying
yep.
food, canned food, things like that. But just know, whatever you give, it's going right outside the doors.
Yes.
It's going right back at. When you give it to Kingdom Builders, we don't keep it. It's going right back out the doors. So you are making a huge difference in our neighborhood, in our community. You're changing lives, and we just so love and appreciate you. If you would like to give today, you can always give. There's two different ways. There's our P.O. Box and our website. It's a slide is up for you, so you can take note of that. And if you ever have questions, just let us know. We've actually had a couple of people call us or write in emails and just said, hey, can I get this? Hey, can I get the link for this or whatever? Just let us know and we'd be more than happy to help you. But thank you for giving. You're changing lives and you're awesome. Hang out for just a little bit if you'd like to. We always have the slideshow about 4 or 5 minutes afterwards just to give you an opportunity to say bye to somebody or hi, because it's a great way to still connect with each other. And like I said, don't forget to like and share this video right now because lots of people are on Facebook on Sunday mornings, and so we want to make sure that we share the life-giving message. Even though the method has changed, the mission has not. And so we love you. Pastor Ben, did you want to say anything else before we close out today?
Ice cream is good. Eat
Ice
some.
cream is good.
If you can. If you have like adverse effects, then you might steer clear or maybe eat something else that's cold, but eat some. It's so good.
Yes. Have a wonderful day, everybody. We love you so much and have a great week, and we will see you back here next Sunday at 10 a.m. Have
Love
a great
you
week,
guys.
guys. Bye.
Bye.